Beloved, listen and let this truth take root in your soul. God is your CEO. The one who spoke the universe into existence now governs your affairs with infinite wisdom and order. He does not operate by the chaos of man's fear, nor is he limited by the narrow vision of human reasoning. His system is flawless, and his word is law. Every enterprise begins with an idea, and every divine idea contains the substance of success. When God is your CEO, failure becomes impossible because his word cannot return void. His strategy is not toil but trust, not panic but principle. He leads you not into anxiety, but into assurance that all things are working together for your good. Your wealth is not the product of luck, nor the reward of ceaseless struggle. It is the manifestation of divine order. The supply you seek is already prepared, waiting in the storehouse of spirit. But you must align your thoughts, words, and actions with his word, for that is the governing document of your life. You may ask, how do I build wealth under God's leadership? The answer is simple. Follow his principles with the precision of a builder following a blueprint. Speak his promises aloud as if they were legal decrees, because they are. Plant his word in your consciousness and water it with unwavering faith. See yourself as the appointed steward of abundance, not the beggar at the gate of fortune. Stop confessing lack, speak increase. Stop fearing loss, decree provision. Stop living like a servant to circumstance. Rise as a partner with the infinite CEO who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Your business, your work, your finances are not yours alone. They are God's instruments to express prosperity on earth. When doubt whispers, remember this: God never writes a plan without resources to fulfill it. If he gave you the vision, the provision is already on its way. Walk as if it is done. Conduct your affairs with the dignity of one who knows that heaven's boardroom has already voted in your favor. Beloved, today you make a covenant with abundance not because of your merit, but because of his word. Step out boldly. Speak your increase, and let God's management manifest in every transaction of your life. For with God as your CEO, your success is inevitable, and your wealth will flow without end. God is my CEO. This is not a metaphor to make life sound poetic. It is a spiritual fact that governs the flow of success, provision, and destiny in my life. In every enterprise, the chief executive officer sets the vision, determines the direction, and provides the resources to make the mission succeed. If man trusts the CEO of a company to chart its future, how much more can I trust the Creator of heaven and earth to manage the business of my life? He is the strategist of all strategies, the planner who sees the end from the beginning, and the provider whose resources can never run dry. When God is the CEO, failure is not in the plan. His word is the governing document, his promises are the policy, and his wisdom is the operational system. The moment I accept God as my CEO, I relinquish anxiety. I am no longer striving to make things happen through human willpower or manipulation. His ways are higher, his timing flawless, and his plan perfect. I align myself with his order, knowing that divine ideas contain the substance of success. Every vision he gives is already funded in the invisible realm, waiting for me to believe. If he spoke it, the resources are in place. He does not give an assignment without provision. My part is obedience, his part is fulfillment. When I follow his instructions, I move from chaos to clarity, from fear to faith, from lack to limitless supply. God's system of management is not based on toil, stress, or worry. It is based on principle, faith, and spoken word. He governs through spiritual law, and that law responds to words. When I declare his promises as truth, I am authorizing heaven to execute on my behalf. The power is not in mere positive thinking, but in the living word, which cannot return void. When I speak increase, increase moves toward me. When I decree abundance, doors open in ways beyond my calculation. My words are not idle. They are executive orders in the spiritual boardroom when they align with His will. To build wealth under His leadership, I must think and act like a steward, not a beggar. A beggar pleads for scraps. A steward governs resources with confidence. God has entrusted me with ideas, opportunities, and talents. These are not random gifts. They are instruments of divine expression. When I manage them with integrity and vision, I reflect the excellence of my CEO. I stop fearing loss because loss is an illusion in a system where supply is infinite. I stop hoarding because generosity multiplies under divine law. I stop competing because in God's economy there is no shortage, only endless expansion. When challenges arise, I remind myself that God never writes a plan without including the resources to fulfill it. Obstacles are not signs of failure, but signals for faith. If the vision came from Him, its completion is guaranteed. My role is to stay in alignment, to keep speaking His word, to keep acting as though it is already done. I carry myself with dignity, for I represent the highest authority in the universe. My business, my work, my finances, they are not my burden, they are God's instruments to manifest abundance on earth. I do not shrink back in fear. I step forward in faith, knowing that the boardroom of heaven has already voted in my favor. With God as my CEO, I am not hoping for success. I am walking in a success plan that cannot fail. His leadership is perfect, His resources endless, His timing impeccable. I move with confidence because the one who governs galaxies governs my goals. Every transaction of my life is under divine management, and under His management, wealth flows freely, opportunities multiply, and my destiny unfolds exactly as written. God is my CEO, and that is my unshakable advantage. Success is never the child of panic. It is always born of principle. The world is full of restless striving, men and women rushing, grasping, and competing as if speed could substitute for strategy, and anxiety could replace order. Yet panic is the language of fear, and fear is faith turned inside out. Nothing stable can be built on that foundation. The law of success operates on principle, and those principles are eternal and unchanging because they originate in divine order. When I build on these laws, I am building on rock, not on sand. Wealth, peace, and fulfillment come to those who understand and apply these principles with unwavering trust. To live by principle means I acknowledge that life is governed by law, not man-made law, but spiritual law. This law declares that as I think, so I become, as I speak, so I create, as I give, so I receive. Success does not come by accident, it comes by alignment. When my thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony with these universal truths, results manifest with mathematical certainty. I do not have to strive, I have to align. Principle eliminates panic because it offers predictability. A farmer who plants seeds does not panic about the harvest because he understands the law of sowing and reaping. Likewise, when I plant ideas of success, speak words of abundance, and take actions of faith, I can rest knowing the outcome is secure. Panic, on the other hand, is an attempt to override law with force. It is the belief that by worrying enough, hustling enough, or manipulating circumstances, I can produce results without alignment. Panic breeds haste, and haste breeds error. Under panic, decisions are impulsive, partnerships are desperate, and opportunities slip through trembling hands. Panic shrinks vision and magnifies obstacles until even small problems seem like insurmountable walls. Principle, however, enlarges vision and turns obstacles into stepping stones because it reminds me that every challenge is a servant to the plan when I stay anchored in truth. Principle teaches patience. The oak tree does not rush to grow in a day, yet it towers because it obeys the law of growth. Likewise, my success unfolds in divine timing. This does not mean I sit idle. It means I act steadily, wisely, and fearlessly, trusting the process. When I know the law is working for me, I do not need to chase opportunities. They are magnetized to me. I become a center of attraction for all that belongs to me by right of divine law. My calm confidence is not passivity, it is power under control. The stillness of principle is stronger than the frenzy of panic. To succeed by principle, I discipline my mind to hold only constructive thoughts. I speak only those words I desire to see manifest. I reject the language of lack, fear, and doubt, for such words create conditions I do not want. My actions are consistent with my vision, and I refuse to compromise integrity for temporary gain. I know that shortcuts taken in panic lead to dead ends, but the steady path of principle leads to enduring success. I measure my steps not by speed but by alignment. For what does it profit me to run swiftly in the wrong direction? Better a slow walk toward destiny than a frantic sprint toward ruin. The most remarkable truth is this: when I live by principle, success becomes inevitable. The law cannot fail. It is impartial and exact. Just as the sun rises without fail, the law of success responds to right thinking, right speaking, and right action. There is no need to strain, no need to force, no need to fear. My life is not a race against time, but a demonstration of divine order. So I choose principle over panic, faith over fear, order over chaos, and in that choice, I step into a realm where success flows as naturally as rivers find the sea. The power of the word is the most creative force in existence, for it is the very instrument by which the universe was framed. In the beginning, God spoke, and worlds leaped into form. The spoken word carries within it the seed of manifestation, and every syllable we utter sets unseen forces into motion. Words are not mere sounds, they are commands issued to the substance of life. When I speak, I legislate. When I decree, I create. My life today is a direct reflection of the words I have believed and repeated, for speech plants ideas in the soil of consciousness and brings forth after its kind. Every word carries vibration, and vibration draws its likeness. Words of faith summon strength, while words of fear magnetize defeat. When I say, I cannot, I enlist failure to my side. When I say, I can, I rally the hosts of heaven to assist me. There are no idle words in the economy of spirit. Every utterance is a prophecy of the future. To speak lack is to invite it. To confess sickness is to feed it. To declare defeat is to prepare the stage for its performance. Yet to affirm abundance is to open the door to supply. To declare health is to stir the law of restoration. To decree victory is to set in motion the machinery of success. My word is my wand, and with it I shape my destiny. The reason words hold such sway is because they impress the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is the workshop of creation. It takes every statement as law, whether good or bad, and sets about to make it fact. When I say, money is scarce, the subconscious does not argue, it simply begins to attract conditions that match scarcity. When I say, I am rich in every good thing, it accepts this as truth and organizes circumstances to prove it so. Therefore, I guard my speech as I would guard a treasure chest, for within my tongue lies the power of life and death, increase and decrease, joy and sorrow. Many wonder why their prayers seem unanswered, yet they cancel their petitions with words of doubt the moment they leave the secret place. They say, I believe for abundance, then sigh, I never have enough, Such contradiction is double-mindedness, and the law cannot respond to divided decrees. To use the power of the word rightly, I must be consistent. I must speak only what I desire to see and refuse to give voice to fear or complaint. Even in adversity, my declaration remains firm. All things are working for my good. For words spoken in faith amid trial have a creative potency that multiplies results. The word must be spoken with conviction, for lukewarm affirmations carry little force. When I speak as one having authority, the universe responds. I speak as if the thing were already done, because in the realm of spirit it is done. My words are not requests, they are commands issued in harmony with divine law. When I decree success, I am not begging for it. I am asserting a truth that already exists in the invisible and calling it forth into the visible. Every great achievement begins as a word. Empires rise from words of vision. Inventions spring from words of possibility. Lives are transformed by words of hope. If I would change my world, I must first change my words. I fill my mouth with promises, not problems, with victory, not defeat, with life, not death. For as surely as day follows night, what I continually affirm becomes the shape of my reality. The power of the word is the power of creation, and when I wield it with wisdom and faith, nothing shall be impossible unto me. Wealth is not something I must struggle to create. It is already prepared, waiting in the realm of spirit for my recognition. The invisible precedes the visible, and every material manifestation begins as an unseen reality. Long before I had a need, the supply was set in place. Before the seed of desire was planted in my heart, the harvest existed in potential. Lack is not a fact. It is only the shadow cast when I turn away from the light of divine provision. The moment I align with truth, that shadow disappears, and the abundance that has been mine all along comes into view. To believe wealth is already prepared is to shift from striving to receiving. Striving is rooted in fear, the fear that there is not enough, the fear that I must fight for my portion, the fear that opportunity may pass me by. But divine order knows no shortage, no competition, no delay. The storehouses of heaven are never empty, and no one can exhaust infinite supply. What belongs to me cannot be taken from me, and what I require for the fulfillment of my destiny is held in reserve until I am ready to claim it. This truth frees me from the fever of anxious pursuit. I do not chase, I attract. I do not grasp, I allow. My work is not to make abundance happen, but to prepare consciousness to receive what is already given. Preparation is an inner act. It begins with thought, for thought is the mold into which substance flows. When my mind is filled with images of scarcity, I block the inflow of good. But when I picture plenty, speak plenty, and expect plenty, the channels of supply open wide. Life meets me at the level of my belief. If I believe wealth is far off, it remains distant. If I believe it is near, it draws close. If I believe it is mine now, it manifests. The law is impartial, responding not to my wishes, but to my convictions. Therefore, I cultivate an inner certainty that all I need is already here in substance, though not yet seen in form. I live as though I possess the wealth I seek, not in reckless spending, but in fearless thinking. I give thanks for it in advance, knowing gratitude quickens manifestation. I speak of it as present, for words shape reality. I act in faith, for faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Every step I take in confidence draws the prepared good from its unseen storehouse into the tangible world. I do not wait for signs to believe. My belief is the sign that calls forth the evidence. Wealth is not earned by toil alone. It is realized by alignment. There are those who labor without ceasing and yet remain in lack because they work against the current of divine order, attempting to produce by effort what must come by consciousness. But there are others who, though their outer work seems small, attract great abundance because their inner agreement with supply is complete. The universe is lavish in its giving, but it cannot deliver where there is no room to receive. Fear, doubt, and resentment crowd the channels of blessing, while faith, expectation, and joy clear the way for swift fulfillment. When I understand that wealth is already prepared, I cease to measure possibilities by present appearances. I do not ask, "How can this be?" for the how is the business of the infinite. I concern myself only with believing, speaking, and acting in harmony with the law of abundance. The banquet is ready. I need only take my seat. The door to prosperity is open. I need only step through. What I desire exists now, complete and perfect in the invisible, awaiting my recognition and my claim. Wealth is not on the way. It is here, prepared before the foundation of the world, and as I accept this truth, I draw it swiftly into form. To act like a steward, and not a beggar, is to recognize my true position in the divine economy. A beggar pleads for what he believes is scarce, while a steward manages what he knows is plentiful. A beggar waits for favor, hoping for a gift, fearing it may never come. A steward walks in authority, knowing that what he governs is not his to hoard, but his to multiply. When I understand myself as a steward of God's abundance, I rise from the dust of desperation and stand in the dignity of dominion. I am not an orphan in a hostile world. I am an heir of infinite supply, entrusted with resources to administer wisely. A beggar mindset prays with doubt and speaks with defeat. It says, if only I had enough, if only someone would give me a chance. It looks outward for help and measures possibility by appearances. But a steward knows the source is within. For the kingdom of God is not afar off, but here, now, in consciousness. A steward does not cry for crumbs. He prepares to serve the feast. He plans, organizes, and acts as one who represents a great and generous master. He does not shrink in fear of loss, for he understands that all he holds is backed by the inexhaustible riches of spirit. When I act like a steward, I carry myself with order and excellence. I do not despise small beginnings, for I know that faithfulness over little invites rulership over much. I treat what I have as sacred trust, managing it with care and gratitude. I do not waste, for waste is an insult to abundance. I do not hoard, for hoarding denies the law of circulation. I put every resource, time, talent, and treasure into productive motion, for increase is the divine pattern. When I use what I have with wisdom and generosity, I open the door for more to flow through me. The beggar mentality is rooted in fear. Fear that there is not enough, fear that I am not enough. It bows to circumstance and lives at the mercy of luck. But a steward knows that supply is infinite and identity is secure. He does not compete for provision because he knows his portion is guaranteed by divine law. He does not envy another's success because another's gain does not diminish his own. He lives in the consciousness of abundance, and that consciousness attracts opportunities that others miss. He does not beg for favor. He commands results through principle. His words are affirmative, his actions decisive, his outlook expectant. To act like a steward is to adopt the mindset of a builder, not a borrower. A builder lays foundations for the future. A borrower clings to the present in fear of collapse. A builder invests, a borrower consumes. A builder multiplies resources, a borrower drains them. I choose the way of the builder, knowing that I am a co-creator with God, the master architect. Everything in my care, money, relationships, work, ideas, is raw material for greater good. I handle it as a sacred responsibility, not a desperate hope. My faith is not in men, but in the unbreakable law of increase. When I embrace stewardship, I walk in confidence and peace. I no longer plead for blessings because I understand I am the channel through which blessings flow. I no longer wait for a door to open because I know the key is in my consciousness. I no longer shrink from responsibility because I see responsibility as the pathway to promotion. I am not a beggar grasping at life. I am a steward governing the riches of an abundant universe. And as I act in that capacity with order, integrity, and gratitude, the floodgates of supply open wider and wider until I live in a continual overflow of every good and perfect thing. Provision always follows vision because the moment a true idea takes root in consciousness, the supply to fulfill it is set in motion. Vision is the seed, and provision is the harvest. The two are inseparable. I never need to ask if the resources will come, for if the vision is of God, the resources are already ordained. The Creator does not give a plan without providing the means for its execution. Every inspired idea carries within itself the power to attract what is necessary for its fulfillment. Just as the acorn contains the oak and the blueprint determines the building, so does vision carry the substance of provision. Many live in hesitation because they wait for provision before stepping out, but the law works in reverse. The resources do not appear first, the vision does. The provision does not precede obedience, it accompanies it. When I move in faith toward the vision, unseen channels open, helpers appear, and opportunities align. But if I sit idle, demanding evidence before action, I paralyze the flow. The river of supply begins to move only when I take the first step. Faith acts as though the provision were already present, because in truth, it is, though not yet visible to the physical eye. Vision is the map, and provision is the convoy that follows the route. If I have no map, the convoy cannot move. When my vision is clear, my steps are guided, and what I need comes as I need it. I may not see the full storehouse at once, but the daily bread is assured. This is why worry is wasted energy. To worry over provision is to doubt the law, and doubt delays manifestation. But to affirm that every requirement is already met is to quicken the outworking of supply. I declare, all that I need for this vision is already provided. And that word sends forces into action beyond my sight. The resources that belong to my vision are never lost. They are held in trust, awaiting the right time and the right consciousness. No person, event, or condition can withhold what is mine by divine right. Others may seem to block my way, but they cannot block the law. They may delay, but they cannot deny, for provision follows vision with the certainty of sunrise. My responsibility is to keep the vision alive, to nourish it with faith, and to refuse the temptation to compromise or abandon it in the face of temporary lack. Lack is not reality, it is only a test of persistence. Great visions have often begun in humble places, with no visible means of support. Many of the world's most enduring works were born without capital, but they carried the currency of conviction. The men and women who realized them acted on their vision and trusted the invisible supply. I do the same. I act boldly, speak confidently, and prepare joyfully, knowing that every resource, every connection, every opportunity required for my purpose is already appointed to meet me at the appointed time. When I understand this principle, I am free from fear. I do not need to manipulate or force events. I do not scramble for resources as though they were scarce. I do not dilute my vision to fit my current supply, for that would be reversing the law. Instead, I expand my faith to match the greatness of my vision, knowing that the same power that gave me the idea governs the means to complete it. Vision is the claim, Provision is the response. As I dare to hold the highest picture and move toward it with unwavering confidence, life rushes to meet me with more than I imagined. Provision follows vision, and therefore I walk in perfect assurance that everything I need is on its way or already here, waiting for me to see and receive. So today, make a decision that will transform every corner of your life. Step into your true position as a partner with the infinite. Stop negotiating with fear and start aligning with faith. Lay down the tools of panic and pick up the principles of promise. Speak only what you want to see and walk as if it were already done, because in the eyes of heaven, it is. You are not a victim of chance. You are a steward of destiny. Your business is not yours alone. It is God's enterprise in action. Every idea you hold in faith is a seed destined to bear fruit. Every step you take in obedience moves you closer to the life you were born to live. The wealth you seek is not somewhere in the distant future. It is here, waiting for your recognition and your claim. So rise today with this truth burning in your heart. God is your CEO, and under his leadership, success is not a possibility. It is a certainty. Act boldly, speak victory, manage your life with the excellence of one who knows heaven's boardroom has already voted in your favor. Walk forward without fear because the plan is perfect. The supply is endless, and the result is guaranteed. Your success is inevitable, and your wealth will flow without end.